Welcome back. All right, so some news of the day here in between the first and second period of Philadelphia and New Jersey. And of course, there's only the one early game because Boston, the Islanders, is delayed. And now there's more delays incoming. The Montreal Canadiens, it's announced this afternoon or this evening, depending which part of the world you're in, that they've been shut down until Monday. So tomorrow's game against the Oilers is not taking place. Friday's game against the Oilers is not taking place. Sunday's game against the Ottawa Senators is hit as well. So that's 4 games for Montreal pushed back. And with the tightness of the schedule, with everything else that's, got to happen between now and the end of the season and get all your games in, Pierre LeBrun thinks this is probably going to cause the NHL to have to go past the May 10th date, which is currently the end date. Keep in mind the original end date was May 8th for the schedule. So this is probably going to push things back unless they change a bunch of other games around. And there's still time to reschedule something for Edmonton as well. Remember, we saw St. Louis and Arizona figure out a way to have games so that they wouldn't have so many that were delayed. We'll see whether or not that happens. I don't think so. And again, I've seen people asking, well, why is it that Montreal, with only 2 players on the COVID list, and there's still only 2 as of today, why are they getting games delayed and other teams don't? It's a discussion between the NHL, the NHLPA. I believe local health officials are involved as well. It's a complicated setup before deciding whether or not to play the games. I think the NHL would just play them. I really do. I think there's more to it than that. So Montreal is shut down for almost a week, which means power rankings day shouldn't be all that surprised by where they are. They really shouldn't move up or down unless somebody has a really good or a really bad week above or beneath them. And another team that it looks like will get shut down. So for today, the Anaheim Ducks only had their practice canceled. But when the COVID protocol list comes out this afternoon, it has 4 Ducks on it. Now, there was 1 Canuck as well, but that's because Travis Boyd is going from one team to another, so that's just standard procedure. It doesn't mean that he's necessarily on the list going beyond tomorrow, which is good because I'll get to Vancouver and how much they may need him. Far more than they should. So there's not a shutdown in effect for Anaheim yet for tomorrow's game. The plan is to have tomorrow's game go on. But remember, when Bill Daly was reached about the Montreal-Edmonton games, he made it sound like they were going to get played, and then they didn't. So this is something that changes from minute to minute, hour to hour, and we'll see. On the list today for Anaheim, Stolarz, Larson, Hutton, and Heinen. That is 4 players, 2 of them defensemen, 1 of them their backup goaltender while Gibson's out, and Heinen, one of their top 9 forwards. So is it possible they play? Again, it depends on local health, NHLPA and the NHL, and what they all come up with together. We'll see. My guess is no. My guess is that the Anaheim game tomorrow ends up getting postponed as well. This again is why teams are just playing in divisions. We're not seeing a lot of travel. Interdivision travel is not a thing because basically you have 4 isolated leagues and it only affects one of those isolated leagues at a time instead of multiple leagues at a time. So yeah, we'll see whether or not Anaheim ends up in the same situation as Montreal. And again, we're going to see this for the next couple of months. It is possible. Not every team plays 56 games. That was considered optimistic when the schedule came out. And if not, they will go by points percentage to decide the playoffs. And that's where fans likely won't be happy if it comes down to points percentage for teams that have played more games and haven't had the points that the other teams have had when it comes to the percentage side, but they may have more points. We saw that last season with who did or didn't make the playoffs as well. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Tuukka Rask may very well play on Thursday. He's been out for a while for Boston. It's given us a chance to see what Vladar is able to do, and it's a small sample size, but I do feel kind of better about how things are going to go if Vladar ends up being the guy they hand the ball to, either as the backup or the starter next year. But still, with Rask and Halak, I'd feel better about things, at least going forward. And with all this time off, we'll see how Boston does. Some of these teams, when they come out of these pauses, they stumble, and some of them do relatively well. We'll see which one Boston comes out as. Speaking of out, Antti Ranta is out again for the Arizona Coyotes in tonight's game against Colorado, which means Prosvetov is the backup for Adin Hill. So, as I've been mentioning recently, we've got a lot of goaltenders that have played. I wouldn't be surprised if Prosvetov, for whatever reason, ends up getting into the net tonight, because that seems to be how this season's going. But again, if with Ronta, it just feels like he's always going to be either going on to or coming off of the injured list. That's just the way that works. It'll be interesting to see what kind of contract he gets when his contract's up and where he ends up and whether or not he ends up staying in Arizona. He can be very good, and we all know he can be very good. It's a matter of staying healthy, and that's where things kind of fall for him. So we'll see. Speaking of goaltenders, Carter Hutton's returned to Buffalo, so he's going to be further evaluated, which means Tokarski starts tomorrow for Buffalo as they try to avoid losing their 15th straight, setting a new team record. But Ullmark may very well play Thursday. So Ullmark is considered to be close enough that he is listed as probable or potentially probable for Thursday. And that's good news if you're a Sabres fan, because Ullmark has been the best of the goaltenders they've had this year. And to me, when I saw Johansson being traded, I thought, okay, so Ullmark's got to be close. Sure enough, it looks like he's going to be back this week, although then Hutton gets hurt. So there you go. Or they just realized, Tokarski can come up and do what Johansson's doing. So, yeah, we'll see what happens with Buffalo. Vancouver. So Horvat's, they're kind of doing the same thing with Horvat they did with Pettersson at the start. So they're kind of like, yeah, we don't know. He's being evaluated. He might be fine. He might be in tomorrow night's game. It sounds very similar to the way they were about Pettersson at the beginning. I would be very surprised if he plays tomorrow. They've already ruled out Beagle, and Sutter's listed as day-to-day. So again, all 4 of the Canucks opening night centers could be out. And if Boyd's cleared and ready to play tomorrow, he may play a far more prominent role for the Canucks than even they envisioned when they picked him up, because JT Miller's already been moved to the middle. We may end up in a situation where we've got just almost anybody who has experience playing center gets to play center. It's really starting to add up for Vancouver. And again, I even heard on local sports the idea that if Horvat's out for a while, that might just be the end of the season for Vancouver. And I can't deny that, because Horvat is just that important to the team. He is their leader. He's their captain, and it would be a shame if he was out for a while. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.